So first things first, I gotta thank all my fans, all my supporters who've watched my videos, especially for the last 3 years that I've been doing these videos. Gotta thank you guys out there, okay? Thank you so much for all the support, and thank you so much for all the support with all this fun stuff going on, all that crappy drama. I'm gonna go ahead and get right to it for you, okay? As a vaping hardware reviewer, it is freaking common sense not to take any sort of payment or equity from any hardware manufacturer for reviews. That is super conflict of interest. Duh. Just like I mentioned in the last video, and this is the last time I'm gonna say it, I never do nor have I ever accepted or expected compensation from any hardware manufacturer's hardware for review. Period. Look, if there are rumors or accusations floating around, I find it's best to go straight to the person that everybody's gossiping about to find the truth of the matter from them. I mean, in this case, I sure as hell would have appreciated it. And here's another thing that I want to touch base on. Okay, I have a few impersonators out there via Twitter, via Facebook. There's a guy on Twitter, okay, he claims to be me. He's got a Rip Trippers Twitter account. It's totally bogus. It's not me. He's posting things that are just ridiculous. If you are interested in seeing or being a part of or following my legit accounts, go to my YouTube channel. At the top right hand corner, you're going to see all the icons, the Twitter icon, the Facebook icon, the Instagram icon, etc. Okay, click on those suckers. Those are my real accounts. And for future reference, I only have one legitimate contact email for hardware reviews. And you can contact my assistant Greg at rtvproductreviews@gmail.com. And here's the last thing, a very, very, very important thing for all you vendors, you online vendors, and you brick and mortars. If someone contacts you claiming to be me and they are asking for a free product or payment in exchange for a review, it's a scam. Okay, it's not me, so just be aware. All that mumbo jumbo being said, let's go ahead and get on to this review. So I reviewed the Mutation X version 2, what was it, about a freaking month ago? Now they got a 3 out, a freaking 3, and people are flocking to it. I mean, it's supposedly the bee's knees, and I love the version 2. Loved it. Now this one, I love it as well, but here's the thing. It is the version 2. It's the exact same thing with a few extra features. But before we get into this review any further, I do want to state the price point. The price point is competitive. I mean, the places that sent this to me to review for you guys, the two places, one's selling it for $24.99 and the other selling it for $29.99. Like I said, super competitive. And just like the V2, I mean, this V3 is a 22 millimeter dripper. It's 22 millimeters in diameter, and it's about 29 millimeters in height. So I'm going to go ahead and get right to it for you guys. There's three main differences between this V3 and the V2. Okay, one, you can get this thing in 5 different finishes. 5 different finishes: brass, copper, black, white, and stainless steel, like you guys see right here. Second thing, notice how I'm using my own drip tip. Okay, this is not the drip tip that came with this device because I'm able to use my own drip tips. Like I said, I got an arsenal full of drip tips, and I'm able to use all of them with it. All of them have been compatible for this device, and it's because this thing comes with a 510 drip tip adapter, a Delrin 510 drip tip adapter, as you guys can see up top. The V2 did not come with that, okay? The only thing the V2 came with was this wide bore Delrin drip tip. Now, this V3 also comes with this Delrin wide bore drip tip that's about 8 millimeters in diameter, but like I said, it also comes with this 510 drip tip adapter, which is a big plus. And then the third thing for this V3, they got rid of the grub nuts, those triangle grub nuts, and went on to Phillips head screws on the deck, which a lot of people are going to like. So yeah, those are the only differences between the V3 and the V2. Other than that, I mean, they're basically the same device. The build I have in here is a single parallel build using 26 gauge Kanthal. She's reading at 0.35 ohms. I got her sitting on this DNA 40 device, and I got her set to 40 watts. The airflow was about halfway open. Now I got her set wide open. Now what I've done is I've closed her off pretty much all the way. I mean, there's a slither opened up, but yeah, here we go. Same settings, 40 watts with this 0.35 ohm parallel build, single parallel build. Just like the V2, I mean, she's a fog crazy. She can fog it with the best of them, but that's what it's made for. I mean, you got tons of airflow. To me, I prefer it when it's closed off, where you just have a slither open, a slither of those slanted slots open, and I get both the vapor and the flavor. And you know what? Here's another thing. With these type of devices that have tons of airflow, air holes galore, I mean, I get tons of people that ask me, Rip, why are you just doing single coils? Why don't you do a dual or quad? Well, here's the thing. When I do dual coils for these type of devices that have so many air holes, I get leaking issues. They all leak. They do. The more air holes you have, the more leaking you're going to have. And for me, I get the best of both worlds, and I'm not only doing a single coil, but I'm doing a single parallel build because I'm able to build low. So if I wanted to, with a 24 gauge parallel build, I could take her all the way down to 0.2, 0.3, maybe even lower. You can take it down even lower. You can get a dual coil experience. I don't get nearly as much leaking. I could tilt it, keep it tilted to where the air hole that's open is facing up. No leaking. I get a great experience. I get the dual coil experience, but in single coil mode. So that's why quality control for this device is V3 versus the V2. Actually, the V2 is better. The V2 that I have was better than the one that I have here, this V3. Okay, 1 to 10 scale, I rate this a 6 out of a 10, whereas I rated the V2, I believe it was a 7 out of a 10, 7 or 7.5 out of a 10. With that V2, I didn't have nearly as many scratches on that device as I do this. You guys will see it in the close-ups, but yeah, scratches all over the negative post, some scratches on the inside of the cup, on the lip, on the inside of the outer barrel. But then again, also another thing you got to take into account, I mean, even though there were scratches on this device, really on the outside you can't tell. That's just being nitpicky and just letting you guys know. But for the price point, and this is a big pro, 25 to 30 bucks, I mean, that's cheap, man. As far as machine oil, I mean, it wasn't bad at all. One rinse, one wash, and I was good to go. Okay, you got these fins, just like the V2, you get the 5 fins, and I'll tell you what, these heatsink fins, they make a huge difference. There's a lot of RDAs out there that I own that don't have the heatsink fins, and those things get scorching hot. This thing has not gotten scorching hot on me yet. Another thing, you have tons of airflow options, just like the V2. You got those 9 slant slots on each side, tons of airflow. You can run this thing in single coil, dual coil, or quad coil mode. And the deck, I mean, the deck is nice and deep, just like the V2. You can fit tons of cotton, tons of juice in there. And then on the deck, you got that positive post block with the 2 holes, okay, which makes it a lot easier to do your dual coil builds. Like I mentioned before at the beginning of this video, this is a 22mm dripper, fits on all my devices, mechanical mods, variable voltage, variable wattage devices, sits down flush and makes a connection, and also it's got a silver plated pin, adjustable pin at the 510 connection. So those are the many pros for this device. I mean, really, there's not that many cons. There's only one con that I can come up with that I found, and that's the machine quality. I mean, a few scratches on the inside of the barrels, and that's really not a big deal considering the price point. I mean, this is very, very, very affordable. Compared to something like the Doge version 2, I prefer the Doge version 2. I mean, all that's going to be subjective, okay, but I get better flavor with the juice that I'm using, the ratio that I'm using, the way I like to vape. I get better flavor off the Doge version 2 than I do off this Mutation X version 3. So all that being said, let's go ahead and take her down and show you guys an up close look at this bad boy. So here's the box the Mutation X V3 comes in. Pulls out like that, and there is your Mutation X V3 RDA along with some other goodies, a drip tip, and then you've got this 510 drip tip adapter to use your regular 510 drip tips, some other extra goodies, and those goodies include extra screws, stainless steel screws, extra O-rings, and a Phillips head screwdriver. And you also receive a pamphlet inside the box, shows what comes with it, instructional manual how to use this thing, and also what is compatible, some accessories you could buy that'll go along with your Mutation X. Here is the Mutation X version 3, all disassembled. You got the deck section, you got the outer barrel section, you got the inner barrel slash blade slash fin slash top cap section, you got a 510 drip tip adapter section for your regular 510 drip tips, which is Delrin, and then you've got a wide bore Delrin drip tip. And here's the V3 deck section. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you everything about this deck section is the exact same as the version 2 except one thing, and that is these Phillips head screws. The other ones did not have Phillips head screws. They had those triangle grub nuts. These have the Phillips head screws, as you guys can see. Just like the V2, the negative posts are milled into the deck. You've got that positive post block with the 2 holes to make it easier to do your builds. And the post holes for this, okay, the center post holes, they're about 2mm in diameter. Now the outer post holes are, they're a little bit wider. I would say like 2.1, 2.2 is what I measured. I mean, slightly wider. But I mean, look at those scratches. There's some scratches on those posts, those outer posts. Okay, scratch there. I noticed that with this device on the deck section, the inner barrel, there's just more scratches on this than the V2. And as you guys can see, the lip section is double O-ring to fasten down the outer barrel to seal in the juice. Now, the deck section or the juice well section is just as deep as the V2, just as deep to fit tons of cotton in there and tons of juice in there. And here is the base of the Mutation X version 3. As you guys can see, it says Mutation X version 3. My serial number 6004, and you've got an adjustable silver plated pin. Nice buttery 510 threads. Here's the outer barrel for the Mutation X version 3. I mean, the exact same as the V2, except it's got V3 engraved. You got the same logo on the front, and then on each side you got those 9 staggered holes, one on one side, or 9 on one side, 9 on the other. Inside the outer barrel, a few burrs, a few scratches on each side where they drill the holes. See it better up top. And then here's the inner sleeve slash blade slash fin slash top cap section. Okay, pretty much the same as the V2. Again, you got a single O-ring up top to fasten into the outer barrel, and then you got these blades. You got what, 1, 2, and then 3 slots. Okay, these slots on each side, that's for your dual and your quad coil mode, and then the slot in here, which slot over here, there's no slots blocked off, that's for your single coil mode. You got these 5 fins up top to keep this device cooler longer. Here's the drip tip hole. Now, this is a wide bore drip tip. The Delrin drip tip that comes with this is wide bore, which is supposed to be compatible with this. But the good thing is, the thing that the V2 did not have, is that this thing comes with a Delrin drip tip adapter for your regular 510 drip tips. And here's your Delrin 510 drip tip adapter. It looks to be double O-ring. It is double O-ring, but you pop that sucker in here and you can use all your regular size 510 drip tips, or you can use this wide bore drip tip, this Delrin wide bore drip tip, pop that sucker in there, and she's rocking and rolling. And here's the inside of this section. Adjustable airflow time, just like the V2. I mean, the V3 is pretty much the exact same. It is the exact same, actually. So we're going to go ahead and run this thing in dual air hole mode first. You want to make sure that each notch is parallel, and they are. So we're going to go ahead and slide this sucker in, slide the outer barrel over the inner sleeve slash blade section, and then all we're going to do, okay, you notice that they're open on each side, completely open. Just twist it. Twist it to close it off. Okay. Twist it to open it up. Open it up wide open again. Okay, if you want to run this thing in single coil mode, we'll just go ahead and take this sucker off. Line up one of the slots, or one of the 9 holes, staggered 9 holes on each side, with the slot that's open on one side. Twist it one way. Close her off. And she's closed off on one side. Open her up. Closed off. Close her off. Closed off, and that's how to adjust the adjustable airflow. Let's just say we have our coil or coils and our wick all assembled. What we're going to go ahead and do is pop the top cap on there, and I'm going to go ahead and use the 510 drip tip adapter because I want to use my regular size 510 drip tips. Pop that sucker in there. Pop your regular 510 drip tip in this bad boy. Oh yeah, and this drip tip is a Trinity drip tip that I received from Epic Vape. But yeah, that is the Mutation X version 3. Let's go ahead and take her back to FaceTime. The 2 shops I received this bad boy from, 1, epicvape.com, and then 2, vapordna.com. Okay, here's a link to epicvape.com, and also a link to vapordna.com. I'll have a link in the description for both those sites. But yeah, VaporDNA, they're selling this thing for $24.99, and Epic Vape is selling theirs for $29.99. And then here's the big question, the big answer for you. If I'd have lost this today after using it, would I go back tomorrow and buy one? And the answer is probably not, and I'll tell you why. Because I already have a Doge version 2, and like I said, I prefer the Doge over this device. I get better flavor. To me, with the juice that I use and the settings I prefer, I get better flavor off that device than I do this one. That being said, okay, if you have a limited budget, you don't have that much money to spend, this is very cheap and it just does the job. You get great flavor off this and great vapor production, but like I said, I just prefer the Doge V2. This is Rip Trippers, and remember, smoking is dead, vaping is the future, and the future is now.